one point or another, and this was a very easy selection. Mrs. Piedra and I basically went down a list of students and said, okay, they've received it, Helen hasn't received it, and she's absolutely the next person in line for that honor. And so for the third one in a row, it brings me pleasure to introduce her. I'm going to read a couple comments that Mrs. Piedra wrote about Helen, and then I'm going to start writing about her. Mrs. Piedra wrote, I've had the pleasure of having Helen in my art classes for the last 3 years and have watched her art mature through her training. She saved the best for last and has 4 art classes in her spring semester. And Helen has all the attributes of an excellent student and a serious artist. She combines her creative concepts, her practiced craftsmanship, and articulates her composition pieces using the art elements and principles of design. So it's right up there in terms of all of the academic components as an art teacher. We'd like to see your students explore in an open way and kind of just take on every creative challenge you give them. Helen absolutely does that. In addition to that, Mrs. Piedra also goes on to write about how reflective and thoughtful Helen is in her writing about her artwork. You know, as you critique your own artwork, as you reflect while you make it, she's made several comments about how mature and how lengthy and really deep many of your thoughts are, and that's a rare thing at the high school level, and it's something that Mrs. Piedra was very hard to try to draw out of her advanced placement studio students, and I think she's just so proud of Helen because she's such a role model along those lines. I think that Mrs. Piedra will be holding up your examples to future years and students on how to write and reflect about their artwork, so congratulations there. For me this semester, starting off with Helen, we started off with a tremendous honor right from the start. In the fall, Cantini out in Winfield hosts a green fair for all things environmentally friendly and green, and there's vendors and businesses, and it's turned into a rather large and fun event out there, and they host an art show for art projects made from recyclables to kind of promote that concept. And Helen was my student assistant in one of her free periods in the fall semester, and she dove right in and made a project of her own alongside my classes, and she ended up making this found object assemblage owl. And she ended up taking first prize at the show for a combination of both creative use of recyclables, but also coming up with a concept and a theme and a subject that linked into that green idea. You know, it's not hard necessarily to make something out of recycled objects, but to tie the subject matter or the concept of the piece in with the show, I think the judges were particularly thrilled about that. And for anybody environmentally minded, of course, the owl carries a lot of conceptual baggage with it, good historical. And so after that, we also had several of our other students do really well there, and Danny, our district PR person, helped me take some great pictures and congratulate them. So Helen got not only first prize at the show, and I think a cash award and an awesome ribbon and all that stuff, but also first page on the Villa Park Review. And my apologies to Mr. Krause because Mr. Krause aged too. One of those rare moments of pride for us in the art. As winter came on, Helen, both in terms of during the school year, working really hard in all of her art classes, but extracurricularly is a member of our theater program on our paint crew. And we have an incredibly hardworking and artistic paint crew, and Helen is one of the leaders of that team. And we were doing Wizard of Oz in the fall. If you had a chance to come see it, you know that it was just a monster of a production, a spectacle, and it looked so good because of Helen and her hard work and the rest of her team. And I remember it was Tuesday night before opening night, and we were there late and we were painting the gates of Oz. And I'm thinking, how are we going to get this done by Thursday night? And just as students were having to go home, and they all know that when mom says you got to go home, you got to go home. I'm not looking to get anybody in trouble, and you got to get your homework done, and you have to stay healthy. I was reaching that point where the crew was fizzling out, both energy-wise, and it was thinning out, and all of a sudden, here comes Mrs. Curtin, walking down the aisle. I thought, oh boy, Helen's in trouble. I got her in trouble for staying too late. Mrs. Curtin has a theater background, it turns out. And she goes, hey, Mr. Epple, can you get me a paintbrush? I'm here to help. And we all were, my motto has always been, I don't want anybody's mom getting angry at me for staying late. And we were pushing midnight on a Tuesday night, and I was looking at Mrs. Curtin thinking, my mom's going to get angry at me. So thank you for being so supportive of your daughter and her art background in all facets and things like that. That was great. She's currently working on an amazing piece of jewelry. I tried to steal it out of the jewelry cabinet this morning to show you. But I think she has it in her purse or something like that. I couldn't find it. Nah, she's smart. She keeps it on her person laying around. So I was going to show that off. It'll be in our spring art show, so please come to the spring art show and see all of Helen's great work, both 2D and 3D. And I know that one of the great privileges I'll have next year is thinking fondly of Helen, because Mrs. Peter let me know that she is currently working on designing the cover in graphic design for our student planner, the handbook, for next year, the 2013-14 year. So when she's off at college and planning her art-filled life, I'll be able to look at that cover and think fondly of Helen all year next year. So Helen Kurt.
I just wanted to thank Mr. Epple and Ms. Peter and my guidance counselor for all the things they've done for me. And I also would like to thank my parents because they've always been supportive of me throughout my 4 years of Woodward High School, which have been the best 4 years. So I will be really sad to leave June 9th. But yeah, my plans for after Woodward High School is to go to COD for 2 years, and then I'm going to be majoring into the fine arts category and possibly going into the School of Design after COD, and possibly transferring over